Make some fucking noise.
Testing. All right. Let's see what we got here. All right, so we're about to get started live here, guys. So, man, I haven't been live on this computer in so long. Give me a second here. It's been a minute. It has been a minute. Starting off live. Hopefully everybody's having a good day. Today has been a very happy, crazy day, to say the least. Alright, let's go on the live scene here. Alright, so we're going to go in the hand cam. Let's see what we got. Actually, we're not even going to pull that hand cam in today. So let's start off by talking. So what we're going to do right now, we're going to go ahead and mute the music. And then as we get into the session, we'll have a little bit more going on. So let's talk about it, guys. So today, let's talk about, I don't know what that humming sound is. Hopefully that goes away. Let me know in the chat if y'all still hearing that. Cause I kind of hear it on my camera right here. Hold on, let me see something. This shouldn't be doing no output. Let me see something. It's weird. Alright, so let me turn that off. Turn the monitor mode off. I don't know why it was doing that. It's making some very weird noises. Either way, so we resolved that issue, and we can proceed forward. So I don't think we're gonna have any more audio issues. So let's talk about Kovaaks. Now, my aim isn't exactly like extremely bad, right? So I would say, you know, it's not poor, but it's also not the best. I have somewhere close to almost 300 hours of aim training in total. And what I would like to talk about today is Kovaak's aim training. Today's episode is why buy cheats when you can build them, right? So, as a mouse and keyboard player on the PS5, I have put myself in a box where I don't have the ability to add a bunch of custom curves. I don't get to use raw Excel. Everything is straight keyboard to the PlayStation 5. How it goes in there and works is how I deal with it on a day-to-day basis. It is nothing more, nothing less. Sensitivity and DPI, that's all I got is options, right? So as I go through and do my training, it is not reflective on any special configurations. There's no Cronus, none of that. This is straight raw input from a human. So first things we want to start off with is the most important thing when you're starting to aim train to get better. The first thing you want to start off with is really being comfortable at your desk, getting equipment and a mouse that you feel comfortable with. I, for one, I am currently using a Razer mouse, and I have a nice big mouse pad here. Um, so I think it's important that you find a comfortable setup that you're familiar with and that makes life easier for you. I believe that's an extremely important factor um, to being comfortable, right? If you're gonna play first person shooters, you want to be comfortable. You don't want to be in a situation where things are uncomfortable for you. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn my camera on because I want you to be able to see this. Let's see. So we will bring over some elements here. Give me 1 second. Uh-oh. Didn't want that. Anyway, that is not what we wanted. So we're going to undo that change. And what we're going to do is let's talk about mouse and keyboard. So I'm going to pull over some elements that you can't quite see on the screen here. And hopefully it'll be helpful. Because my whole purpose of this is to make sure I'm helping as many people as possible, because a lot of this stuff wasn't covered for me. So let me get this camera on the screen. As soon as let me unlock it. There we go. Alright, there we go. So now you are in view. You can see here I have a very wide mouse pad. Excuse the desk, it's a lot going on here. I have a very wide mouse pad. I do not use all of this, right? So usually my desk is a lot more clear than this when I'm really into it. This computer is moved, my work computer is moved. Then I'm moving my mouse keyboard over here, so I'm usually using about this much space. Okay, you want to be like, I'm a wrist aimer, right? So because back in the day, we didn't have a lot of space growing up. I use a lot more of my wrist to aim, right? Because mouse pads back in the day used to be like a very small box. Okay, now they make these really huge mouse pads. So when you're first starting to get into mouse and keyboard and really learning how to train, you want to make sure you get a mouse pad that's comfortable. You want to get a mouse that you can move with freedom, right? Weight is important. All these mice, I won't say they're the same. This is a pretty lightweight mouse overall, right? There's a lot of weight that is removed from this mouse. There are Logitech mice out here that are a lot heavier than this, and they are meant for like really deep control. I, for one, am left-handed, so my options to having an ambidextrous mouse for having buttons on the right hand side are very limited. And so I recommend this if you're left-handed. I'd highly recommend this Razer Ultimate from my personal point of view. I think it's a very good mouse. Another mouse pad that I use, which this is like, when this first came out, it's like a $200 mouse pad. I think it's like one something now. But this is a SkyPad XL, and this mouse pad is glass. So the mouse pad underneath is cloth. This mouse pad is glass. This glass mouse pad allows for my mouse to move so much faster. I'm talking about like insanely faster than a cloth mouse pad, because it's strictly made for speed. Okay, like this thing, it almost forces me to lower my sensitivity. That's how fast this mouse pad is. But usually I do play on this mouse pad if I'm working on my flicks and wanting to get down to a higher control. So if I can control it here on the glass mouse pad, when I transition over to this cloth, this is more like a hybrid pad underneath. This is for control. So when I'm playing core, Now, I know this makes sound crazy. When I'm playing core in Call of Duty, you need more control because you got to stay on target. When you're playing hardcore, it's about acquiring your target and firing first. So when I'm playing hardcore, in this example, like I still play Cold War hardcore. I use this mouse pad most of the time. Recently, I've just been using this one underneath just because I don't really play Cold War that often. I don't feel like switching. But like once hardcore is back, I'm definitely going to be using this because it's all about acquiring targets. You know, like I don't move my wrist and arm a lot like this. So this is what arm aimers do. They move their arm, right? And they be, oh, you got your whole arm. No, I literally use my wrist. This is my extent of my motion. Okay, I can do 360 degrees in this bit of motion here, and people be like, oh yeah, you got your whole arm. Yeah, some people use their arm, but when you use your wrist, this is it. This is the extent for 360 degrees. So the amount of pivotable control that you need to have to be pinpoint accurate and to get called a cheater is requires a lot of attention. But that brings me to the next point. Once you do have a mouse and a mouse pad that you like, the next thing is really finding your sensitivity and your DPI. I personally don't think DPI matters. Honestly, I think it's just a fad. I think the most important part is really finding your sensitivity. And I highly suggest you start off in any game of your choice. You don't have to use an aim trainer like I have on the screen here. You can use any game. I would start off with a 3, a 7, and a 1. And the reason why I do the 1 and 3 so close to each other is 1 allows you to see just how slow that is. A 3 is like a very comfortable spot where a lot of pros stay in. And the 7 will let you feel like, you know, it's not dragging or slowing down. Now, once you really start fine tuning, usually most people find their perfect sensitivity between a 3 and a 5, maybe a 3 and a 7, somewhere in there, depending on your mouse pad. In this instance, mine is a 5.85576. Now, I don't really use that number anymore because I usually do, we do centimeters by 360, right? So what this means is this number here is constant across all games, okay? And you gotta be very clear. No matter what game I play, as long as I understand this parameter, it will always translate to the amount of sensitivity that's for that game, okay? And so what this does is this centimeters per 360 gives you the amount of inches that it takes for me to go into a whole 360 degree turn. So I know my mouse pad is, you know, let's just say, I don't know the measurements offhand right now, but let's just say this is 16 inches, right? Of course this isn't 16 inches, it's about 2 feet, or almost just a little bit over 2 feet. So I know that from here to here is all the space I have to work with. But if I want to do a 360, I know that I can't go all the way here and then pick my mouse pad up and then come back and do that, right? That's going to be a very slow movement. It's kind of like, what is the point of that? So what you really want to do is understand the distance of what the length of your mouse, the width of your mouse pad and the height of your mouse pad is, right? And what I tell, you know, what I found for myself personally is I actually never really make it all the way over here, right? Because like I said, I'm not an arm aimer, I'm a wrist aimer. So that means that only my wrist is moving. And if my wrist is the only thing moving, then I need to be an understanding of from the distance from where I am to the measurement of here needs to be 180 degrees. So when I come back, I'm back at center. Then when I'm going far left, this needs to also be 180 degrees. So now I know that I can turn all the way around from just going from here to my right and going from here to my left. That'll give me a perfect 180 on each side. I'm never gonna do no quick flicks where I need to do a whole 180 all the way around where I need to pick it up and go twice, right? Most of the time, if you're getting shot in the back, you're in a bad situation and you're gonna do what you need to do. But for the most part, targets are either gonna be to your side, all the way to your side, or somewhere in your plane of 180 or smaller. And so once you've identified the plane of 180 or smaller, then you're able to identify that those inches. And so for me, I know this is like a 14-inch pad. As you can see on the screen, I have a 5.8-inch parameter before I'm at 180, which means I only need to go from here to about 5 inches of a movement, right, to get a perfect 180. So this just helps me kind of control my field of view and all things. So I think this is another thing that when you get comfortable, you want to make sure you understand that. And a lot of people are like, oh, I don't know what sensitivity I want to use. I'm going up to this, up to that. Really, your sensitivity should be really based on how far does it take you to get from this side of your mouse pad to this side of the mouse pad in the area of comfort. Once you find that area of comfort, then you want to know where you're putting your mouse pad every time, and then divide that number. That will always give you what you should be using. Now, whether you're good with it at the very beginning is a different story. But once you identify what your boundaries are, then you work within those boundaries to become a better player. It's just very simplistic math. A lot of people like to make this into a methodical. This is a mathematical game. So once you have that number, you basically pop that in. The other big thing, of course, is field of view. So I use a 105 field of view in my aim training. In the game, I'm at 120. But you know, when you're 120, you're not shooting, right? You're just running the map. You're preparing the ADS in. So now when I play here, it's almost like I'm ADS because 120 coming down is about 99. So I pull out just a tad bit. So 105 is what I aim train on. So the biggest thing is reps, right? It's all about reps when you're trying to get better, right? It's all about reps. So playing constantly online or multiplayer gives you game sense, but it does not enable you to really understand the mechanics that come around aim training. So thank God within this Kovaak's aim training, which is free by the way, I think they just made it free. It's $10. There's another one called AimLabs that is 100% free. I use this one just because a lot of people that really get into it are into this, and so I wanted to see what the fuss is about. But you want to start, and by the way, when you get on here, there's 23,000 scenarios, right? So there's never any room to run out of finding a way to be better, right? You can make your own playlist, you can download other people's playlists, and really hone in on your skill set. So let's talk about what I think is some of the key importance. For me, because I'm a hardcore player, you know, I do a lot of target switching, and then when I'm playing core, I do a lot of tracking. But for the most part, for me, it's target switching. But I think one of the key components, and they do a really good job of combining some of these things in this basic intermediate advance and movement. I think they do a really good job of putting this stuff in here, so this way you don't kind of have to figure it out. But I think some of the basics really are really honed in here. And there's also a built-in trainer. So we're going to go ahead and go to trainer real quick, and then I'll show you my setups. Right, so we're going to go here. You sure you want to exit? Yes. So I'm going to take you in here. So Kovaak does a really good job for people who have never been in an aim training platform and don't even know where to start. Just start on a mouse and keyboard. You really want to understand where you are. So, you know, I did these a while ago. So here's the thing, right? So you have reaction, you have your smoothness, and you have your tracking, you have your flicking, right? And then you have scoping, right? So there's a lot of different ways that you can train. Now, for me, I predominantly work on my tracking because my flicking it's natural for me to flick. So I don't really do a lot of this in here, especially in here. But you can literally come in here and you just run through these until you master them. And once you master these, then you can come back over to the sandbox and really try some custom stuff if you're just starting. What I recommend personally is this number 1 basic, number 2 intermediate, number 3 advanced, and number 4 movement. These come default with the system, okay? So we're gonna just jump right into some basic stuff right away, right? The ones that you see on mine, some of these are added, some of these come with the game in this general sense. There are some game-specific ones. I think they got like a Warzone down here, Overwatch, Valorant. People who play Valorant really play this game a lot. I think they got CSGO, Apex, right? So if you're a really first-person shooter, this is what is in here for you. So we're gonna start off with the basic, right? So you can see right off the bat, there are leaderboards here. In this particular first scenario, I'm ranked like 4589 out of 133,000 people, right? But it literally puts scenarios in here that will train every aspect of aiming for you is already determined and put into a playlist. And you can literally keep track of your scores to understand if you're getting better or not. I wanted to see. So let's go to stats real quick, right? So let's look at this particular one. We can see here, like I'm just in a constant improvement over in this scenario, but this is for the recent, like, so you can see if I do for the month, you can see back in 2022 when I first started this, I was down here, and it even keeps track of your sensitivity and scores at the bottom of the screen. And as you get better, you know, you make adjustments. Like that was for sensitivity. This one's not showing for some reason, but that's for sensitivity. And then this is the most recent one, but you can see the curve, right? That's what you want. You want a nice smooth curve going upwards. And some, you know, some I don't play too often, so you won't see a bunch on there. Let's look at this one. This one is always rocky for me. But it's all about constant improvement, right? You want to get out the dips. So at least your stats are tracked regularly. So always keep that in mind. The next biggest thing in here is, you know, actually just jumping in there and playing. Now, what you can do is you can play this without it actually keeping track of your score. But I think the biggest thing is really just about getting in, getting your feet wet, and finding what makes it comfortable for you. The goal is to stay on your target, in this particular instance, going left and right, right? Just maximizing your smoothness for your tracking. I think the biggest thing that people get frustrated with is that, you know, they anticipate the movement, but they're like, just follow it. Only move when it moves, right? It's only going left and right. It's kind of predictable, but at the same time, it's a great warm-up before you get into like Warzone. You know, you need to track your players. I also like to mention that aim training is not just for mouse and keyboard players. You can actually hook your controller up to your PC or a laptop and actually do this and learn how to aim better with your controller, even in these challenges. So although aim assist is OP right now in Call of Duty, you can still train inside of this aim trainer and become even better, making yourself even a greater threat to people out there. So, you know, you want to train, me personally, you want to train your tracking every single day, personally. I do not do every scenario every single day. I do a specific playlist regularly, but you want to do your tracking and you want to do your flicking every single day, and then you can just add in those other scenarios for more advanced tracking. But I think, you know, smooth tracking is one of those things where you just want to always keep your wrist hot and ready to go. The other thing that I highly suggest is making sure that, you know, you stay focused in on your target and you actually focus on the target. Not just look at the target, but actually focus on the target. You know how when you are staring at a ceiling fan or just looking at a ceiling fan and it's kind of blurry? But then if you actually try to focus in on one of those, one of the actual propellers of the fan, how it just, everything slows down and then you just see that one. I think it's very important to just focus in on those targets when you are playing. It'll help you out. Eventually you'll start to plateau and then you'll have to find ways to challenge yourself to get better. Like I said, I haven't really been on here recently, so I'm just kind of getting back into it. And so I want to take you guys on this journey with me because, like I said, my aim is okay right now, but it can absolutely be so much better. So much better. Like it's crazy how bad it was comparatively before to now, because it didn't even it used to be this good, and this isn't even that good, right? Um, some people be like, "Oh yeah, but you're doing a great job," but you should see other people. And they say, comparison to other people is the death of your own self-esteem. But I use those other people's videos as motivation to really see what's capable, right? Um, it's definitely something that a lot of people uh, really get deep and really connected to. People play this more than some people play actual, their actual first person shooter game that they actually really liked and they were training for. Because of sheer satisfaction, like you literally are competing against other people and it's a measurable offense. Like that. Like I just did terrible. Um, I did terrible, like compared to what I did yesterday. I mean, not bad. Only like 500 points less, but still, it's a big M, right? We don't want a lower progression, we want a higher progression. But still greater than the median, but we can do better, right? We can do better, so we're gonna do better. But hold on, let's focus up. Oh, that's terrible. Got me there. All right, well, that was better than the last, but not as good as it should have been. Shoot, I didn't realize my whole scene changed. That's You guys probably missed that whole scenario. My bad. My bad. The other thing that's important too, and you'll find this on your own, is like the way you actually like grip the mouse, right? That's a very important factor. Me, I kind of have like I have really big hands, so my hands actually, I would say I lift the mouse for my movement a little bit because it's easier to stop on my fingers because it's my hand than it is to um, actually continue with the mouse and stop it. So it's easier when I want to stop with my thumb because I could just dig my hand down and stop it on a dime. Where if I was just fingertipping it, I'm not saying this is hard to come to a stop, but it does have a little bit of slippage. So as I lift the mouse just a little bit up and have it rest on my actual hands and my fingers at the bottom, I can control it way more. So when I want to stop, whenever my body stops, it just stops. Right. So keep that in mind. You'll find ways that make it easier for you as well. Hey, princess. So right now we're practicing tracking, which is, like I said, it's a very important aspect, especially in Warzone when people are, jumping out of the air, parachuting down. You want to be able to track those targets, get those easy kills. And then what target, sit still, right? So you want to be able to stay on top of those targets or as close to those targets as much as possible. No aim assist in here. And this is terrible. I'm actually playing really bad, to be honest, which I didn't stretch my hands or anything. But still put in a pretty decent score. Kind of been plateauing at 4,000, which, you know, is, I don't say it's the best, but it is a situation where I want to get better at it, so just gotta practice at it. That's all we can do. And then, so let's see. Let's move on to the next one here. You want to try to play your scenarios, you know, twice. So the first time is kind of a warm up for the second time. Hopefully you can always do better on the second one. That's the goal. Let's try to do better. Like this one, I don't feel like I'm doing better. I feel like I'm doing worse. But you want to always focus in. Do your best always. And only react. Don't try to predict. Oh, look at that. Finally broke my score. Nice. That's what I say. You always want to try to do better on your second one. And you got to just focus it up. There we go. New high score. That's what I'm talking about. Instant gratification. Not that much of a high score, but hey, progress is progress. This particular scenario is how you practice your flicking. So when you go with your target acquisition, this is very important when you're playing hardcore, especially on mouse and keyboard. When you see these videos of these guys on a mouse and keyboard, and you know they're doing these crazy aiming acquisitions where they find the target like immensely quick. This is that type of training where it's like, how the hell did he acquire me that fast and start firing, and I was off to the side? Like, how did he see me aim that quick, right? It's like, this is what that is for. Just reflex. With trying to see the target at a minimum, and by the time you get there, you're just clicking. You're not thinking about it. It's just, as soon as you get to the target, you're firing. I have my ups and downs with this one because I always try to either click early or sometimes I'm clicking late, and so it kind of messes it up. But once again, you just got to strive for greatness and try to do better your next one. Flicking is very important, especially in any game when it comes to target acquisition, because you don't want to be in a scenario where you take too long between the time that you achieve your target, because at the bottom line is, it doesn't matter how good you can track a target if you can't get to them faster than they can get to you, right? It's only but a certain amount of time that you have between you seeing them and them seeing you before one of you are going to start shooting. And whoever acquires the target first and can land the most shots is the one who typically wins. So it's a very key skill to have and it's always room to improve there. Always room. All these next couple of trainings are all about target acquisition. How fast can you get to your actual target and fire without having to slow down and reposition and really like identify it. So this is all about precision. Because that is sometimes what matters the most in these games, especially in like Valorant, where you know a lot of stuff is headshot, one shot kill. Cold War, Vanguard, Modern Warfare 2, Battlefield 2042, all of them, right? Whoever acquires first with precision can win. Can you think about all those people that you love looking at their sniper montage? The reason why they're so good at the sniper is because they're able to acquire their targets quick before the people with the assault rifles can actually fire. In reality, there's no way a sniper can defeat an assault rifle user if they both fire at the exact same time and the sniper misses. 9 out of 10 the person with the sniper is going to die if they miss that first shot. It's very rare that you're going to outgun a person that once you miss that first sniper shot, they're not going to get you unless they're just really bad at aiming. But for the most part, if you don't hit that first sniper shot, it's a wrap for you. So being precise as to how you get to your target and when you fire is extremely critical. And once again, these are basic scenarios that we're playing right now that are default provided to you in the actual Kovaak's program. So there's no additional cost. These things are built in, and you can run through this particular scenario playlist that will, you know, really hone in on some of the beginner trainings of, you know, you starting down the journey becoming an aimer. You know, there's room for growth every single day because you are relying on your own body to aim. You deal with things such as, you know, natural fatigue, you know, just being tired. Like, there is no assistance. If you don't shoot or you don't make the adjustment, your shot's off. It's on you. There ain't no one coming to save you with aim assist. You know, I know how aim assist pulls the controller, even if you're not even in view yet. But the game can sense you coming. It'll start pulling your controller into that direction. There's none of that here. Okay. The only time my keyboard and mouse is making a movement is if I'm providing input as a human. And at that point is when a decision is being made as to where we're acquiring targets. Are we firing? Are we tracking? All that I think is extremely vital to understand that, you know, there's a difference. Definitely. I believe controlled players have a greater opportunity at tracking, but they do lack the ability to acquire targets as fast unless, you know, those controlled players are really in these aim trainers. And there are some that are on controller and they do aim train. Don't get it twisted. They ain't gonna tell you, but they be in here hundreds of hours aim training on the controller, so this way when aim assist does kick in for them, it has an even more pinpoint focus and is really applicable to how they trade. They're doing their training. Hold on one second. I do apologize. I had to take that phone call. But yeah, I think we're gonna go ahead and cut the episode short. It's been about an hour. Thank you all for tuning in. If you got any questions, post them down below in the chat. I'll be sure